Pokemon challenges are all the rage right now, where someone will usually take one Pokemon and see if they can complete the entire game with only them. However, I noticed they all have this one caveat.
I'll need to use other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle.
And I thought to myself, does that even count? Surely you're not actually completing the game with only one Pokemon then. But could that even be done? Well, I decided to take up the challenge. Let's go over the basics real quick. HMs are specific moves that need to be taught to Pokemon in order to overcome obstacles in the overworld. Once learned, they cannot be replaced by new moves, and for the most part, they're incredibly weak. In Fire Red and Leaf Green, there are 7 HMs in total, but only 3 are actually required to complete the game: Cut, Surf, and Strength. So all I had to do was find a Pokemon that could learn all 3 of those moves, and this challenge was good to go. I settled on Nidoking, a Pokemon with pretty good stats, especially in the attack, but it wouldn't receive same type attack bonus from any of the HMs. To make this slightly harder, once I learn the HMs, I won't be allowed to use any moves except from those. I will also not be using any items in battle, though items outside of battle are fine. With that out of the way, let's get started. I used the universal randomizers to change Charmander to Nidoran so that we can do our entire run with it, and so that our rival will start with Squirtle, who will be super effective against us once we're fully evolved. I nicknamed my Nidoran Chief because it was the first thing I could think of. We beat our rival in our first fight, with our Poison Point ability making it a bit easier for us. We rushed to Viridian City to try and take him on again in the optional battle, but aren't strong enough to withstand his attacks, so I decided to skip this one, as I don't really need the extra experience. Viridian Forest is incredibly easy, even more so than normal, as we start with Peck, which is super effective against the bug types, and due to our typing, we don't have to worry about being poisoned. At level 12, we learn Double Kick and are ready to take on Brock. I was so confident that Chief could win this fight that I didn't even heal up before challenging Brock. Our Double Kick takes Geodude down to half health, and his tackle only does 6 damage, so we take it out in one more hit. We reach level 15 as Brock sends out Onix, who outspeeds us, but is also only doing 6 damage with his tackle. Double Kick is 3-hit KO, so as his Onix starts using Bind and doing even less damage, we're able to take an easy victory. In our very next battle, Chief reaches level 16 and evolves into Nidorino, and in Mount Moon we find a Moonstone to evolve it into Nidoking. He is now very strong for this part of the game, but is now also ground type, making him weak to Misty's team. Also on the way through, I take the Dome Fossil, because I feel it doesn't get enough love. I tried to take on Misty as soon as we reach Cerulean City, but at level 22 we get outsped and 2-shot by Starmie's Water Pulse. We'll have to come back to this later. I take on our rival at Nugget Bridge instead, and try to get through his team using our strongest move, Thrash. Pidgeotto luckily doesn't use Sand Attack, and we take it out in 2 hits. Squirtle comes in and we do massive damage with our third Thrash, but he takes us to just over half health with a Water Gun as we become confused. We hit ourselves in confusion, and another Water Gun takes us to just 14 HP. Luckily, we snap out of confusion and one Double Kick takes out Squirtle. Abra comes in, but his paper-thin defenses can't handle a single peck, and his Rattata's quick attack isn't strong enough to take us out, so we finish him off with one more Double Kick. We return to fight Misty, this time at level 27, and choose not to risk using Thrash immediately, instead taking out Staryu with one Double Kick. We then switch to Thrash as we now outspeed Starmie to take it out in 2 hits. That was much easier than before. Aboard the SSN, we run into our rival again, and we start strong, doing about half his health and damage with a single peck, but this time Pidgeotto uses Sand Attack, making us miss our next 6 attacks. Luckily, Pidgeotto is only doing chip damage. We finally hit another peck, but Pidgeotto hangs on with a slither of health, and we once again start missing. Luckily, Pidgeotto gets poisoned by our ability and finally goes down. Kadabra goes down in a single peck, but we miss our first attack against Wartortle, and it starts using Withdraw to boost its defenses. We do good damage despite that when we do hit with Thrash, but immediately after we start missing again. Wartortle switches to Water Gun, putting us in yellow health as we become confused. Fortunately, our next hit takes him out. We're then able to break through confusion and our lowered accuracy to finish off Raticate. With our rival defeated, we go upstairs to rub an old man's back and can finally start this challenge for real, as he rewards us with Cut. 50 base power, normal type move with 95% accuracy. Seriously, this move has no right being 95% accurate. Regardless, we disembark and make our way to the Vermilion Gym. I actually found the first switch in the first bin I looked in, but I accidentally double-clicked, so I had to run around for a bit before solving the puzzle. I once again forgot to heal before challenging the gym leader, but it didn't end up mattering. Voltorb went down in 3 hits, which would have been 2 if Surge hadn't used a Super Potion. Pikachu falls in 1 hit, and despite Raichu paralyzing us and getting up 2 double teams, we're able to win the fight without taking too much damage. With no access to Flash, I'm forced to do Rock Tunnel from memory, which wasn't too difficult, except for this Slowpoke, who used Disable against us. Because I wasn't using anything but our HM moves, I couldn't do anything to him, so I had to resort to just throwing Pokeballs until the Disable wore off and I could finally use Cut again. We eventually reach Erica, and right off the bat, Victory Bell uses Stun Spore, paralyzing us and making us slower than her Pokemon. We land 2 cuts, taking her down to red health before she Hyper Potions. However, we land a lucky critical hit, taking her back down to red health, and one more hit finishes it off. Tangela wastes time using Ingrain, so we take it out easily, and then we're on to Vileplume. She keeps using Giga Drain, taking us all the way to 22 health, before we're able to land the finishing blow, ending the battle. Next, I took on Team Rocket at the Celadon Game Corner, who put up about as much of a fight as they usually do, and were easily swept aside. I thought Giovanni would be harder than he was, having a lot of Rock-type Pokemon at this point, and us only using a weak Normal-type move, but thanks to Poison Point, we were able to brute force our way through his Onix, Rhyhorn, and Kangaskhan. Now for something I should have seen coming, but didn't. I had hoped to pick up Surf before having to do anything in Pokemon Tower, as I knew Cut wouldn't work on any of the Ghost types in there. What I forgot was that Surf was in the Safari Zone in Fuchsia City, which was past the Snorlax blocking the road, who can only be woken up by the Pokeflute, which is given to you by Mr. Fuji once you save him from the top of Pokemon Tower. I thought this might have been the end of the run, but I still had one option available. I walked into the closest cave and wasted 105 PP to give myself access to Struggle, which in this generation is typeless, and can therefore hit ghosts. I had to stock up on potions and heal between battles from the recoil damage and avoid the healing pad on one of the floors, but eventually made it through. All of the Channeler's Pokemon went down in one hit, so I only had to worry about the damage I was doing to myself. I then had to decide whether to face Marowak and Team Rocket with Struggle or use an Elixir, which I knew I'd need later for the Elite Four. So, I struggled my way through for easy victories. Who keeps hiring these people? With that nonsense over, I could finally get to Fuchsia City, to pick up both Surf and Strength. Compared to Cut, these moves are relatively powerful, but that honestly isn't saying much. I'm just glad I don't have to deal with Cut's accuracy anymore, because Koga's Muck likes to go for Minimize, and I don't know if I could deal with another fight with 6 misses in a row. Against Koga, we take out his Coughing and 1 Surf with an unnecessary crit. Muck starts being annoying as ever and sets up Minimize, and we low roll our second hit, letting him live with barely any HP. He sets up an Acid Armor and Hyper Potions, so we switch to Surf for a 3-hit KO. His second Coughing goes down in 1 Surf, and for some reason his Weezing has Tackle on its moveset, so we beat the gym without taking any real damage. Off to Silphco to finish off Team Rocket, but first we have to deal with our rival again. Pidgeot goes down in 2 hits, fortunately not going for Sound Attack, and instead only doing a bit of chip damage. Execute holds on after a hit and gets in a Stun Spore, slowing us down and then doing a bit more chip damage with Confusion. Alakazam uses Reflect, cutting the power of our strength and allowing it to survive a hit. He then uses Future Sight and we get paralyzed twice in a row, but he continues to use Future Sight over and over, which just keeps failing, so we're able to take him out no problem. We take the Future Sight damage as Blastoise comes in and starts with Protect, but we get paralyzed anyway. Reflect wears off so we can go for a full powered strength, taking Blastoise down to half health. He eventually takes us down to 37 HP before going down himself. His Growlithe comes in, and if he'd used Takedown or we got paralyzed, we'd have lost this fight, but he goes for a resistive Flame Wheel instead, and we hit our Surf to take the win. Next is Giovanni, who is no threat now that we have Surf, and we literally just spam it until we win. Really nothing worth mentioning. I was a bit worried about going up against Sabrina and her super effective Psychic types, but their physical defense is so poor that every one of them goes down in a single strength, and we don't take 1 hit. Blaine has never really been too difficult given the fact that you need Surf to reach his gym, and it's a 95 base power move that's super effective against his entire team. So we take out each of his Pokemon in a single attack, except Arcanine, who holds on with the tiniest amount of health, hits us with a powerful Fire Blast. Blaine uses a Hyper Potion, but we crit hit our next Surf to finish the match. There's an odd side quest that's introduced in these remakes to show the player the Sevi Islands that wouldn't usually be worth mentioning, but off of one island we find an old man who gives us another HM, Rock Smash, a fighting move with 20 base power. I figured I'd probably never use it, but out of principle, I wanted my entire moveset to be made up of HMs. With that done, we go to take on Giovanni at his gym, and it's an embarrassing one-shot sweep with Surf. How did this man ever amass any kind of power? Before heading to Victory Road, we have to fight our rival again, and I realized that despite the last few gyms being incredibly easy, this was nowhere near over. If Pidgeot uses Feather Dance, we can't win, because we have no way through Blastoise, so I have to immediately reset. But we eventually get a run where he uses Wing Attack instead, so we're able to take it out with 2 hits. Alakazam goes down in a critical hit that definitely mattered, and then it's on to Blastoise. Water Gun is doing decent damage, but then he sets up the Rain. We take him down to red health, and I'm worried that he'll Hyper Potion, but instead, we're able to finish him off. Growlithe comes out and cuts our attack, but 1 Surf takes out both him and Rhyhorn. Then Execute comes out and the Rain stops, so our Surf is weaker but still gets him down to about half health. He lands a Stun Spore though, once again slowing us down. He goes first and starts charging a Solar Beam. We're on for the win, but we get paralyzed. I thought it was all over, but Solar Beam does surprisingly little damage, leaving us on just 9 health, but we get paralyzed again. I was getting ready to restart when I see that he starts charging another Solar Beam. We break through paralysis and win the fight. On to the Pokemon League. But with how hard that fight was, I know we're going to need to do some grinding before we can stand a chance. We reach Lorelei at level 70 and try taking her on, but over and over again she manages to take us out. Between her super effective Ice Beams and Surfs, we just can't stand up to her team. But without access to fly, I don't exactly have any way to go and find a decent place to grind. So instead I just throw myself at her, over and over again, leveling up off the few Pokemon I can take out before going back to the Pokemon Center and trying again. It took me just as long to get strong enough to beat Lorelei as it did to do the entire rest of the game to get up to her. Eventually, at level 85, we get the run where we manage to take out Dewgong with 2 strengths, and it only sets up a useless safeguard. Cloyster comes in, and due to its physical bulk, we switch to Surf to do about 3/4 damage. It sets up the Hail, which is actually in our favour as we need it to beat Slowbro. After she's done wasting time with Protect, we take out Cloyster, and Slowbro comes in, getting buffeted by the Hail. If Slowbro attacked, we'd have had to restart, but luckily she goes for Amnesia, boosting her special defense, which won't affect Strength's damage, and thanks to the Hail, we're able to take her out. Jinx comes in, but as is the way with Psychic types in this run, one Strength takes her out, and it's on to Lapras. Strength puts her to about half health, as we take an Ice Beam and end up in yellow health ourselves. She activates her Citrus Berry, taking her out of range of another Strength, so instead of putting her in range of using a full restore, I use Rock Smash to do a little bit of damage and lower her defense. We hang on from a Surf, and one more Strength ends this ridiculous battle for good. I'd have never thought it would be Rock Smash that gave us the win. Bruno, by comparison, is a pushover. Both of his Onix go down in a single Surf, Hitmonlee falls to 1 Strength, and even though Machamp only takes just over half his health in damage, for some reason it just uses Scary Face. He heals up slightly with the Citrus Berry, but it's not enough to save him from 1 more Strength. Hitmonchan holds on from a Strength, but his Rock Tomb only does 7 damage. Bruno heals him twice as we keep getting him down to low health, so I switch to Cut to keep him out of that range, and he misses his Sky Uppercut, giving us an easy victory. Against Agatha, I forgot to heal up, but I needn't have worried. Surf is the only move that can actually hit her Ghost types, but it puts Gengar in red health as she sets up a double team. She heals it and we miss our next attack, but then immediately put it back in red health as she goes for another double team. We miss again and she lands a Shadow Punch before we're able to finish off the Gengar. Haunter comes in but dies in 1 Surf, and our next Gengar goes down to what I thought would be full restore range, but heals itself with a Citrus Berry, allowing us to finish it off with 1 more Surf. Golbat comes out and I use Strength to take it down to red health. She heals it up, so to keep it out of the range of doing that again, I switch to Cut, before returning to Strength to defeat it. Arbok comes in, using its Intimidate to cut our attack, so we just use Surf for a 2-shot victory. Lance gave us a little more trouble. His Gyarados has Intimidate, which cuts our attack straight away, weakening us for the rest of the fight. 2 Strengths get it into yellow health, but apparently it was just low enough for Lance to use a full restore. Luckily, we critical hit to take it out without taking any more damage. Aerodactyl falls to 1 Surf, and in comes Dragonite. We start using Strength and he wastes time setting up a safeguard. Thanks to his Citrus Berry, it takes us 3 hits to get him into yellow health, and then Poison Point activates. I'm sure Lance will full restore, but he doesn't, and instead we're able to take out Dragonite, but are pretty beat up. His first Dragonair comes in, and 2 Strengths are enough to beat it, and with his final Pokemon, we run out of PP on Strength, but he again wastes time using Safeguard, so 1 Surf is able to finish it. With that, we have only our rival left. Once again, if Pidgeot uses Feathered Dance, we have to immediately reset. But I found using Surf seemed to discourage the AI from doing that, so we take a little damage from Aerial Ace and take out the Pidgeot in 2 hits. Alakazam, surprise surprise, go down in 1 Strength. Strength does about 1/3 of Blastoise's health as it sets up the rain, ensuring that 1 Hydro Pump will finish us. 1 more Strength puts it into full restore range as he luckily misses his Hydro Pump, and a Citrus Berry heals him up enough that no full restore was used. 1 more Strength finishes off Blastoise and Rhydon comes out, but it just goes down in 1 Surf. Exeggutor was who I was truly afraid of. It starts with Giga Drain and we get a couple of good hits in with Strength, but then he lands a Sleep Powder. He uses Giga Drain again, sapping our health, but we wake up after only 1 turn and are able to take him out with 1 more Strength. Arcanine comes in and cuts our attack with Intimidate, but that won't save him from Surf. And with that, we are crowned Pokemon League Champion, and have officially completed Pokemon Fire Red using only 1 Pokemon, with nothing but HM moves. I never thought Lorelei would give us so much trouble, nor that I'd have to get a Pokemon as strong as Nidoking to level 85 to make this possible. If you enjoyed this challenge, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when I release new challenges like this. Because with this challenge complete, I now set my gaze onto the next region. So I hope you enjoyed this, and that you'll join me for Can You Beat Pokemon Crystal with only 1 HM Slave? Until then, I'll catch you later.